Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Git and what you can use Git for, and at the same time we're going to be talking about GitHub there and what you are going to be using the GitHub for there like that. So when you're talking about Git, it's a control version system. So when you're talking about Git is a control or a version control system, which is what you can use to manage the version of whatever the application you want to work on. So you have your application, the version 1, you have V2, you have V3, and so forth like that. And you can use Git to track all the changes that you've made to your code. So whatever changes you make in your code, you can use the Git to track all of them. And in case you need to go back to any of the changes, you can always revert back. And again, Git is really useful when you are working with multiple people. So when you are working with multiple people on the same project, it's kind of easy for you, developer A, to be working on a particular feature, while developer B will be working on another feature. But all of you are going to be working on the same code base. For example, like this game that we work on. So one person will be working on the HTML part, another person will be working on the JavaScript part, another person will be working on CSS, for example. So all these changes, and you guys are going to be making changes to the same code here, which is this same color code here. So it would be nice if each person can keep tracking of what they've made, what are the changes that has been made by the person that is working on this HTML file, what are the changes that have been made by the person that is working on JavaScript, or the person that is working on CSS. And in case you need to now bring all your changes together later on, with Git, it make it easier for you to manage all these workflows. So when you're working with multiple people on the same code base, you guys are going to have a lot of conflict. So which means someone is going to change. Maybe you make changes to line 43, and what you put here is not the same thing as what the second developer is putting on this line. So how do you reconcile all this in? Git make it possible to track all the changes, and you can resolve the necessary conflicts, which are conflict means here that one line or multiple lines from different people have different changes, and you want to put those changes on that line. So how is it going to be resolved? With Git, you can resolve all this in easily, because you are going to see all the changes that was made on that particular line, and it's going to bring every of the necessary tools that you need to manage all these things for you there like that. But the basic stuff is that Git is just a version control system, which is just a software that you use to manage the version of whatever the changes that you want to track in your application. So your application here, you build the application for the version 1, but later on you want to add new changes. So all these new changes you are adding, they are the new version of that your app, and this thing is going to record them for you there. And in case you need to go back or you need to revert back to whatever you had before, it will be easier for you to do, because it have the history. It's keeping tracking of the history of everything you are changing in your code, and it's going to tell you what changed on the particular line and what are you adding on the particular line. And if you are working with other people, you can use the concept of branch, like the tree. That on the tree, you know, you have different branches, but all of you are still on the same tree there like that. So here too, different developer can be working on the same project, but you are going to be working on a separate stuff. And when you are done, you bring all those changes back into the main code base. So they will have their own copy at their side, just like the way you have the game at your end. Then I have my own copy. And whatever changes I made and whatever changes you made, we can later bring them together and join everything, and it's going to have the record of what was changed by you and what is changed by me. But currently, everything we have been working on here, there is no record about what has been changed, what has been removed. We'll remove this code on this line, we'll put this in on this line, and so forth like that. So there is no tracking at all. So with Git, you can add this functionality so that you'll be able to track everything that is going on in your code base there. And the first thing you need to do in order for you to start doing all this thing, you need to download the Git first, because the software that you need to have on your system. So just go to Google there like that. So search for Git, and you are going to see the download link, or you can just type Git download, and it's going to bring out there. So this is the site you are going to download it from, which is this Git -s CM here. So once you go there, once you click on it, it will take you to the download page where you need to download the stuff, and you're going to download it from your operating system. Since you are using Windows, then you are going to click on the window and you download it for Windows. I already have it, but if I want to upgrade, as you can see currently the version is 2.51.2, but if I want to upgrade it to, I can just click on the window like this, then it will bring out where to download the stuff for me. So I just need to click on download like that. So we just need to click on this, and once I click on it, it will download the stuff for me, and I just need to wait for it to download. And once it's done with the download, as you can see, it's not even up to 100 MB there like that. So you click on it and you follow the prompt to install the Git. And once you have the Git installed like that, you are going to have access to what we call the Git bash on your system. So once you search for the Git, if you already have it installed, there are two things that is going to come outside there. We have the Git GUI and we have the Git bash. So as you can see, it comes with this Git bash, which is what we're going to be using. It comes with this Git GUI. We are not going to be using this. And it comes with this Git CMD. We're not going to be using all this one too. The one we're going to focus on is this bash, which is the tooling that I'm going to be talking about soon there like that. But let me wait for this one to download so that I can upgrade what I have, or to show you the process you need to follow when you are installing this stuff. You don't need to do too much there. So the installation guide is really simple. Just follow the prompts and you click on yes, yes, or next, and it will install it for you, because the basics setting that is going to display for you is what you need. You don't need to tweak anything from it there like that, from the basic setting that is going to be there. And once you are done installing the stuff, then you have access to what I just showed you, which is the Git bash. And what is Git bash? This is where you are going to be typing all the necessary command that you are going to be using to communicate with the Git, because Git is a software that you are installing on your system, but you need to communicate with it. And how do you communicate with it there? You need to know about something known as the commands, or this terminal command. And when you're talking about this terminal here, we have two type of interface when you're dealing with your computer there. So when you're dealing with computer in general, we have two type of interface. So when you're talking about computer, we have two type of interface. So the first interface that we have there is GUI, which is what you are used to already there, which is the graphical user interface. So when you're talking about graphical user interface, this is like this VS Code. Now, as you can see, we have different buttons that we can use to carry out actions. So if I click on this button now, it has something it needs to do, but there's some series of command that is going on behind the scene. But your own is just to click on the button. The same thing too when you go to your Explorer. If you want to rename the file there like that, what you just need to do, right click on it, it will bring out some option for you, and you click on the one that you want to perform. But all this thing here, these are what we call graphical user interface, because you can see the text or buttons. Your own is just to click on it, and the action that needs to be performed is going to carry out behind the scene. But all these buttons you are seeing here, anytime you click them, there's a command they are running behind the scene, and that command, that's where we have the CLI. So this CLI is what we call the command line interface. So this one is known as a graphical user interface, which is a series of buttons, text that is displayed to you for you to carry out a particular action. And CLI, this is now the command line. So what is this command line? This is what we call terminal there. So when you're talking about terminal or command line, it all depends on the operating system where you are coming from. On Windows, we normally call it this command line like that. On other operating system, you are going to be seeing them calling it terminal, but they are technically the same thing. So this one is generic. So graphical user interface, this is just a series of buttons that is provided for you by the application that you can use to carry out different actions. So the user doesn't need to know the actual command that the stuff is going to carry out, but they know that once they click on this button, it's going to do something. But which code is it doing this thing behind the scene? You don't need to care about that, because all those ones will be handled. Your own is just to click on the button. Just like the JavaScript, when the user click on reset, they don't need to know what is going on. They don't know that this is what is going to happen behind the scene. But once they click on that button, is going to carry out all this action here. So you can see these are series of command that needs to happen. The same thing here too. The graphical user interface is just all the series of buttons, and once they click on it, there's some series of command that needs to happen behind the scene. But as a developer, there's some time you have to interact with the command directly. And where are you going to be putting all this command? That's where this CLI comes in. So CLI is the interface where you can type all the command that you are going to be running. And as you can see later on, I'm going to be showing you some of the command that you need to know before you start working with Git, because you need to have knowledge about all these basic command here before you start going into the Git commands that you are going to be using to manage your project and track all the changes. But you need to know some of these basic command here. This Git too is already in VS Code. So if you go to your VS Code here, you are going to see this source control. So you can do everything. So as you can see, all this in here, you can do it from your graphical interface. So this is graphical interface now. So if I want to create Git in my project, I can just click on this button, and there is some series of command that this thing is going to do behind the scene. But first, we don't want to use VS Code. We don't want to use this graphical interface to do it. You are going to learn from CLI, because it's not every time that anytime you want to do this thing, you have to start looking for VS Code or you start looking for button to click. No, you can do it directly yourself by typing the command that this thing is going to do for you later on when you are using the VS Code. But we are not going to be using GUI. So this is GUI now. You click on the button and it will carry out the operation for you behind the scene. But with CLI, you have the interface where you are going to be typing the command yourself there like that. And the terminal, which is the same thing as the CLI. So different operating systems you are using are going to come with their own different terminal there like that. For like Windows now, we have two type of terminal that you can use here, like or three, depending on, it's two, but with new version of Windows now, it comes with its own terminal. But from the olden days, we have the CMD, which is the so this CMD here now, as you can see, the command prompt. So this is where you can type some of the commands. So when you want to open your Explorer or you want to do anything, you want to create files from your Explorer here, you can do everything directly from the terminal. So if you go to your Explorer and you want to create a file, you right click on that place where you want to create a file, and as you can see, you have new, and you can create folder or you can create file. But all these action here that we have here, they are coming from GUI, which is a graphical user interface. But we don't want to use GUI here by clicking on button to do it. We want to do it directly from what we call the CLI. So this is CLI here. So it's a command line interface where you can type all the necessary command that you want the computer to carry out for you like that. So every operating system comes with their own different command, and this is the CMD here like this. So this is the one you always see, the first one we have in Windows. But the reason why I don't like this one is because this one is peculiar to Windows. Most of the stuff you are going to be using here, it can only work on Windows. You can't use it outside of Windows. So if you go to other operating system like maybe you go to Mac now, or you are using Linux, some of the command you use there, it will not work there at all, because the way this one was created at that time, it was mainly for Windows. Whatever command you be typing here, almost like 90% of them works on Windows. It doesn't work for other operating system. But we don't want to learn something that is only for one operating system. We want to learn something that you can use everywhere like that. So this one too, now you can click on plus, and as you can see, this is another one that Windows have there like that, which is known as PowerShell. This is what you have before, right from Windows 1. This one has always been there, and this one comes with Windows 10. That's where we started having PowerShell like that. So this PS is just PowerShell, as you can see from the top here. So this command prompt, this is your CMD, which is for Windows, and this one too is still for Windows. But there's some command you type here that is going to work on other operating system, while some of them will not work here too, because they are mainly for Windows. And that's the reason I'm not going to be using the one that come with the Windows directly. We are going to be using the one that the Git is giving to us. So once you install the Git there like that, there's some this bash that is going to come outside there, which is what I mentioned before. So when you go to your this thing here, which is the start, and you type this Git like that, it's going to bring them out once you installed the Git. And once it's out, what you are going to see is that it comes with this Git bash. So this is another interface that you can use. But this one makes it possible for us to run some command that works on different operating systems. So whatever command you'll be typing with Git bash, most of them are going to work on the other operating system. As you can see, it looks like this one too, but the difference between them is that some of the command you are going to type here, it as if is something that you can use on the other operating system there like that. But you can use this command line, which is the CMD that comes with Windows. You don't need to install anything. It's already there once you have your window. The same to this PowerShell. You don't need to install anything. It's already inside your operating system. But the problem with this is that not all the command that is going to work here. For example, this is one of the command that you are going to learn later on there like that. But now if I use it, this thing will be complaining that it doesn't know what this thing all about like that, because it's not meant for Windows. It doesn't work on Windows. There's a different way of doing it. But we don't want to be using something that it's only on Windows. We want to use something that you can use in different places. As you can see, it said it cannot find it, because if you use something it doesn't know about, this is what you are going to get, the error. The same thing here too. If you use it like that, it will still not work. As you can see, it will tell you that it doesn't recognize the command that you are passing like that. So because of that, I'm not going to be using it at all. So I'm going to close this PowerShell and this one. The one we're going to be using is this Git bash here. So this bash is what we're going to be using, because this one is closely related to what you are going to see on other operating systems. It's not everything too that is going to work here, because some command, they are meant for Linux, while some of them or they are meant for Linux and Mac, there it will work. But here on Windows, it doesn't work, because the way they arrange their stuff is different. But let's just say 50% of them or 60% of what you need or what you are going to be using is going to work here. So 60% of what you need for now are going to work here like that. And what are the commands you need there like that? So we have a lot of them here, which is just the basic command that you need there like that. So we are going to be talking about the CD. So what is CD? What is PWD layer? What is LS? What is MKDRI here? So these are the basic command that you need to know. Majorly this CD, this LS, this MKDR, this touch, and this RM here. So they are really powerful. So this CP, you need to, as you can see, all the text. This one can be used to copy. Now when you go to your operating system or your Explorer, you can right click on the file and you pick copy. Then you go to the folder where you want to paste the content, and you go there. As you can see, we can copy the stuff or we can cut. But all these things, they are going to perform some series of action behind the scene. And what are the command are they going to be calling behind the scene? That's what you want to learn here. So these are series of command those things are doing. You click on the button there, but it's going to create all these necessary command that is going to carry out the action. And these are the common one that you need to know. There's a lot of them, thousands of them, but these are the one you'll be using day in, day out for you to move from one place to another like that. And I told you we are going to be using the Git bash there like that in order for us to be able to work. So now let me open it. So that we'll follow the prompt. I already have it installed already, but this is a different version like that. But the one I have already is version 2 point something there like that. So I just need to upgrade it in case I want to do that. And let me close the one that is open already like that. And once this thing is done, so I just need to accept, and once it's done, it should pop out with the setup process, and you follow the prompts by just clicking on next or proceed or install and so forth like that. So and it's going to, as you can see, so it's going to click on next. You don't need to do anything at all like that. Cannot until you close at least those, yeah, because the one I open is not closed yet. I've closed it. Okay, maybe VS Code. I still have let me see, refresh. One of them is still running. So let me close VS Code, but I think one is running in VS Code already. So let me close it. Yeah, so now it's gone. Let me click next. So as you can see, the next thing you need to do, as you can see, currently I have version 2.43, but the new version is 2.5 like that. But it doesn't matter as long as it is 2. So 2 point something, whatever we want to do is going to work like that. So while this thing is still installing, let me pause this thing. Yeah, so it's done. So what you just need to click is finish, and that's all. You don't need to open it at all. So let me open my VS Code back, and because I'm going to be working with it from VS Code, but you can work with it directly by going to your stats and look for Git. So just search for Git bash like that, and it's going to bring it out for you but I pin it already to my terminal, to this stats, but because it removed that old one, so it has removed the one that is here. So let me pin it back because it's something I used to use a lot most of the time, like that, if I want to work on it directly. So you can pin it to your stats, or you can pin it to this tab there, like that. So let me wait for this thing. It's loading. Then I started recording like this. Starts. Okay, so it's loading because the option, I want the option to come outside. So yeah, so what you just need to do is to open it, which is going to be where the interface, where you are going to be typing some of these commands there, like that. So you can expand it more, and you can increase the screen size by holding the control, and you scroll your arrow up or down depending on what you want there, like that. So once this thing is done loading, it's going to bring the current folder that you are working on there. So it's still loading. Once it's done, there is something it needs to display here. So because the system is still loading, so that's why it's looking like this. So once it's done, we should see wherever you are working on. So it is going to show you what we call directory. So when I'm talking about directory, it's just a folder or window. So window, we call it folder, while on the other operating system, they call it directory, as you can see. So this thing is telling me that this is a current folder that I'm working on. But what is this TDL here? TDL just means the home page. So whatever the home page on your system, that's what this thing is representing. So this is where you're going to show the current folder you are working on. So this TDL here means it's currently on the home page. But how do I see the contents of what is inside this place? Or how do I move from one folder to another one? That's where all this one comes in here. So how do you know the name of the current folder you are working on? That's what this one is there for. How do you move from one folder to another one? That's what this one is there for. And how do you know the content of what is inside the folder you are working on? That's what this one is there for, like that. For example, now if I want to see the name of this current place that I'm working on, I can type pwd. So pwd means print working directory. So whatever current directory you are working on, so the name is going to be here. But it's not every time that it's going to bring out the name. Once you show this TDL, this is just a way of representing your home page. But if you want to see the name, you can actually use this pwd command to know the current. Can you see? So this TDL that you are seeing here is just representing this address. So this is the folder that I'm currently working on. So this folder now, this is the name. So it is this raster stamp. But if you want to see it directly on GUI, it's something you can go there to on the graphic card. So this is a graphical user interface. So if I want to see that same thing, I just need to go to the address. As you can see, it said from the local, from C. So I'm currently in the C. You are going to go to users. So from there, I need to go to users. Then inside the user, as you can see, the next folder that I need to go to is raster time, as you can see here. So everything that you are seeing here is still the same thing. As you can see at the top too, is here. So if I click on it now, you'll see that it will enter that folder and it's showing me everything that is inside it. So this is the graphical user interface, while this one is the CLI, so which is the command line interface. And this is the interface for you working with the command directly, while this is the graphical interface, which give you some kind of buttons or all this interface where you can carry out the action without you dealing with any command like that. And as you can see, the same URL is at the top here, like that. So, and as you can see, I can see everything that is inside it from this my Explorer. But what if I don't want to use Explorer? I want to use the CLI to see everything that is inside that folder. That's where this ls comes in, which is list files. So when you type this ls, what it's going to do is that whatever current folder you are working on, it will list everything that is inside it. So here now I can just type ls, and once I type ls now, you see that everything that we have inside that folder, can you see? It will list out all of them. So in the GUI, as you can see, that everything that is showing here is still the same thing as what is showing here. So this document now, so going back in that place, you see that we have document here too. So scroll down to under D. As you can see, we have document, we have download, we have favorite. So everything here they are displaying. So in the terminal, anytime you see slash in front of it, that thing is telling you that it's a folder. So that's how you recognize a folder there. So anytime you see the name and you see the slash, it's telling you that that's a folder. So the same to that means this is folder, this is folder, this is folder, and so forth like that. So all this one, they are folder. But all this one that did not have the slash in them, it means they are not folder at all, or they are normal files like that, or their application. So all this one here, they are normal file along with their extension there. But any one of them that have the slash, it means they are folder. While some of them, they are program that you can execute like that. But in order for you to know the current folder you are working on, you are going to use the PWD, because it's not every time that some of the name, they have something they're using to represent them, like your home directory now. So this TDL is representing home directory. And when you use this PWD, it's going to show you the full address of what this thing is representing there. And you can move to any folder that you want later on. So for example here now, if I want to move to any of this folder here, from that place, I can move to them. So how do you move from one folder to another one? That's where this CD comes in, which is known as change directory, which is same thing as you moving from one folder to another folder there like that. But I don't want to be working with this thing from here. I want to do everything in VS Code. So instead of me working from here, I can actually use the terminal directly in VS Code. So to run the terminal in VS Code, you have to go to the terminal option here like that, depending on, because I'm using the small screen right now, that's why it's not showing all the options. But if you click on this dot for your own end, depending on your the system or the space that you have there, it's going to show you all the options at the top here. And you are going to see the option for the terminal. And once you click on this new terminal, you see that VS Code is going to open the same thing for you like that. So instead of you open the application separately like this, we can do everything directly in our VS Code by opening the terminal here. Just like the way we have the Explorer that we can create the files and whatever folder we want to create in our project, the same thing too, you can run the terminal directly in your VS Code. So you just need to go to the option for terminal and you are going to click on new. But once you go there in your VS Code, it's not going to show bash for you like my own. Currently in my VS Code, I've already configured this in that anytime I open terminal, it's going to open bash for me. But for your own side, it's going to open PowerShell. So, and you can customize it like that. So how do you customize or change the command line that you want to use? So you see the option here for you to change. So if you click on this arrow, you see that it's going to bring all the terminal that you have on your system. So as you can see, I have PowerShell, I have the Git, which is what I set as default, but it's not the default on your system there like that. So what is going to be default is this PowerShell. Again, so this is the command line that I show you, but you can run everything directly in VS Code like that. So what you just need to do, come here and click on Git bash, which is going to show the stuff for you. But if you want to make the Git to be the default one there like that, so what you can just do, as you can see, you come to this select default profile, and once you click on it, as you can see, it will show all the terminal you have there. And what you just need to do is to click on Git. So which means the next time you open any terminal, it will always open the Git by default, not the PowerShell that is there. So it will use PowerShell by default, but if you always want it to be open Git for you to like this, so you come to this plus, you click on the arrow, then you go into this select default profile and you select Git from the list. So which means next time, if you close the terminal and you create another one there like this, anytime it open the terminal, it is going to always open the Git bash for you, because that's what you always want to use. I don't use the PowerShell or use the CMD because there's a command you type that they don't work there, but those commands will work when you use bash, and the same command you type here will also work on the other operating system. And as you can see right now, anytime you open any bash on your VS Code here, is going to open the current project you are working on. You know, when you open the bash directly, it's not open because it doesn't know where you are working on. But since you are inside VS Code know that this is the project you are working on. And since the project you are working on, as you can see, it has already opened that folder for me in my terminal. So we are currently working on class 4 here, which is where we put all this file. So it has already opened that folder here. So whatever folder you are working on, whatever part you are working on there, it's going to show you the address at the top here. So currently we are inside this class 4. So the last one here is always the folder where you are currently working on. And as you can see, class 4 is inside Mayorverse. Mayorverse is inside students. Students is inside training. Why this training is inside this C. And if you go to the GUI now, you're going to see the same thing is here too. So under the C, like this, you see that I have training there. So inside the training, then I have students. Inside the students, then I have Mayorverse. And inside Mayorverse, then I have class 4 like that. And inside class 4, as you can see, all the files are here. So this is the graphical user interface. But everything I'm doing now that I'm using to move from one folder to entering folder or leaving a folder, all this action you are carrying out, that is a command that is getting run behind the scene. And those commands is what we want to be talking about here. And one of them here is this pwd that I've already talked about, which shows you the current folder or the address of whatever the folder you are currently working on. So once I type it here, you see that it's the same address you have at the top here that is going to show, because this is the current place they were on. So it's going to print the current directory you are working on, the address of it, the location. So this is the location, or this is the steps, or these are the different things you need to enter before you get to that place. But how do I move from one folder to another one? As you can see, currently we are inside this class 4. So from there now, I can see whatever that is in there. From your Explorer already, you can see what is here. But now imagine the Explorer is not open and you are doing this thing from the terminal. How do you see what is inside it? So to see what is inside it, we have this ls. So anytime you type ls, it's going to show you all the files and folders. You can see inside this class 4, we have the CSS folder. I told you folder always have a slash after their name. So we have the CSS folder there. We have the HTML folder. We have the JS folder. We have the project folder. And I have this file. So as you can see, because it have the extension attached to it like that. But how do I move from this class 4? How do I move to this CSS? Or how do I enter this HTML? Or how do I enter this JS? Or how do I enter this project? That's where the CD comes in. So with CD, you can change from one directory to another directory. But when you are changing from one directory to another one, you need to know about relative, which is something we've talked about before. Relative paths and absolute paths. So when you're talking about relative, you know, it means you have one element, or you have one element that is inside another element. And from there, you can navigate from the child to the parent, or you can go to the child folder, or you can go to the parent folder. And from the parent folder, you have all those things that we've talked about is still what you are going to be using here. For example, here now we're inside class 4. And we know that all these files, they are inside class 4. So what we just need to do here is to just do cd, and you mention whatever you want to go to. But where do you want to go to? Is it absolute or relative? So when it is relative, you don't need to put slash. If there is no slash there, it means whatever name you are typing here, you are talking to it as if it is inside this folder. But once you start it with slash, it means you are talking about absolute. So which means it will look for it wherever it is somewhere else if you put the C like this. So the C here is the home directory. As you can see, everything is coming from C, which is your disks. So whatever you are saving on your system, they are saved on disks. And the disks that I have on my system right now is C, which is the major one. But on your system, you can actually have multiple partition there like that. So if you have multiple partition, you need to know where you are saving the file to, and you go to that disk there. But my disks, I always have one partition there. So everything is under the C. So if you put the C like this, if you always start with the C, it means this in here, you are talking about absolute path. But anytime you don't put the C, whatever stuff you are typing here is going to be based on the current folder you are working on. And how do you get the current folder? Is always what you have at the last of what is showing here. So whatever I show you there, that's the last folder where you are currently in. So currently I'm inside class 4. So whatever I do here, it means I want to move into another folder inside this class 4. And what folder do I want to move to? As you can see, we have different folder here that we can enter. For example, like project now. So if I want to enter the project folder, what I just need to do is to do cd, then project like this. So what I'm saying is that inside this class 4, we have a particular folder named project. And from there, I'm moving from wherever I am currently now into that folder. And once I press enter, what it will do is that it will move from this our class 4 and it will enter this our project. But if you look at it, I did not add all this URL there, all this one. But by the time it moves, as you can see, those URL has been added there. and it add the project at the end. This is what we call relative here, because anytime you just mention the name of the folder without you putting the C there, it will be working based on the current folder you are working on. So since I put the project, what it did is that okay, you are looking for the project inside this place. But if I want to look for it inside my C, inside my D, I can just do CD, then put the name of the drive, then after the slash, then type whatever the name. So this one now will navigate to another project which is inside C, inside the C. But I don't have anything like that. So if you try to move to whatever this thing doesn't have, or whatever you don't have on your system, you are going to get error that it can't find that folder. Because if you try to navigate to any folder that it is not there, it's your, oh, do I have that project? It goes there. Do I have anything like that? Let me see. I don't know that I have something like that. That means I have something like that here. Yeah, so that means as you can see, I have that folder there. That's why it's moved. As you can see now, the way it's rearranged this one is not the same thing as the way it's arranged this one. So anytime you put the C there, it means you are doing absolute. It will go to that C and look for whatever folder that you put there like that. But if you don't do it like that, if you just do C like this, maybe you do the C. So let me go back into that folder. So we have training, we have students, because you can enter multiple folders at the same time. And this is the advantage of this terminal here. It's really fast when you know how to work with it. So instead of me going to this side and start clicking the folder one by one, I can enter all of them. So from what I'm saying here is that I want to change. So I've not put the command yet. So because this one will not work. So the first thing you need to do is to put the command, which is going to be CD. So the CD is what you are going to use to navigate from one directory to another directory there like that. What's wrong with this VS Code? CD. VS Code is still loading now. Let me wait. All right, finally. Don't even type a lot of. All right, so CD, then you mention the name of the folder that you want to enter. But anytime this thing is starting with this C here like that, it means you are going into the root. And what is your root here? It is this local disk. So this is your disk. But some system, you can have multiple disks, as you can see. There is disk D, there is disk C, but this is the basic one, and this is what I'm using on my system. But some system, they will have multiple partition of the disks. So you just need to mention the drive where you want all your file, or wherever your file is, and from there you mention the name of the folder. So what I'm doing here is that from this local disk C, I want to enter training. Then from that training, I want to enter student. From student, I want to enter Mailverse like this, and from Mailverse, I want to enter class 4. So you can be entering them one by one, or you enter them at once like this. So once you put the name of the folder in this way, it means it will enter them one by one, but it will really fast here. Once I press enter, if it is valid link, you'll see that it will just enter that folder automatically there like that. But from your UI, so when you go to your GUI here, if you want to do the same thing, you have to go to your local disk C first. Then for your local disk C, you click on training. Then from training, you click on student. From students, then you click on Mailverse, and that's the same thing we are doing. As you can see now, it's not telling me I'm inside class 4. So any other command I'm going to be running now is going to happen inside your current folder. So you need to always look at the current folder you're working on, because whatever you're going to be typing, it will affect this folder. And if you want to move to any folder, or you want to see what is inside this folder, you can use ls. So ls will tell you what is inside that folder. So you can see right now, it shows that we have CSS. And if I want to enter that CSS folder, I just need to use CD, then CSS. As you can see, I did not put any drive there. So if you don't put the drive, it will look for that folder inside this your current page, or inside this your current folder you are working on. If I press enter now, you'll see that if this is there, it will go to that folder. This is VS Code slowing down. And as you can see right now, it has moved to their CSS folder. Now we are inside CSS. So if I want to see what is inside CSS, what I just need to type is ls like that. And you see that it will show you everything that is inside CSS. And as you can see right now, it means nothing is inside CSS. So it's not showing anything for us. So, and if you go to your Explorer tool in VS Code, you are going to see that if you expand this CSS, as you can see, nothing is here like that. But if you expand HTML too, nothing is here. So nothing is inside CSS, nothing inside HTML, nothing is inside JS. But as you can see, we have things inside projects like that. So if I want to go back now to my previous folder, it's still the same CD you are going to use. But you know, we've talked about this thing. When you want to reference a previous folder, we use dot dot slash. So the same thing that you know before is still what you are doing here, just that you are doing it from the terminal. CD dot dot slash means you are going back to the previous folder. So current folder is CSS. So if you use dot dot slash, it means you want to go back to this one. If I use dot dot slash again, it means I want to go back to this one. If I use dot dot slash again, it means I want to go back to this one, and so forth like that, depending on the current folder you are working on. So now the current folder is class 4. So if I do that CD again, this dot dot slash, it means it will leave this class 4 and it will go to Mayorverse like that. So if I press enter now, you see that it will leave this class 4 and it will go to Mayorverse. You can see now I'm inside Mayorverse. And if I want to go back to class 4, then when you're moving forward, you mention the name of the folder, and when you're moving backward, you use dot dot slash. So it's still the same thing. So going forward, we need to use class 4, and it's going to enter the folder that I mentioned there like that. So to see what is inside it, you use ls once again. To move from one folder to another one, you use cd, then followed by the name of the directory you want to move into. If you just type the name of the directory, it will be working based on whatever you are doing here, whatever the current one, that's what it's going to use. But if you want to move to the one that is absolute, that means it's not even related to where you are currently working on, you need to start with C here before it can do that one. But anytime you don't put this C there and you type any name, that name will be looked for inside this whatever you are working on as your current folder. So now if I try to cd into this one, there is nothing like that. So as you can see, it will tell you no such file or directory. So if you mention any folder you don't have here inside your current folder you are working on, this is what you get, because it tries to look for this folder here, but there is nothing like that. But look at it right now. I have a lot of command type, and this my interface has been clustered. Like, it's a lot of things going on here. But I want to start brand new with this my interface. So it's quite easy to do. You can type clear. So what clear is going to do is that all the command you typed before is going to clear your terminal, so that it's going to give you a brand new interface there like that. So once I click on clear, everything that you've typed before, it will clear all of them, and it will give you more room to work with like that. So you can see the clear has already cleared everything that I've typed before like that. Now we have fresh interface like that. You can scroll up depending on the terminal, it will bring some of them out, but yeah, as you can see, it has cleared the stuff. So clear all the command you've typed like everything you've typed in your terminal is going to wipe the screen off, so that you have enough room to work with again like that. So cd, you are going to be using it to change from one directory to another, because I'll be using this thing a lot later on like that, to move from one folder to another one like that. Again, we have ls. Assuming you are not working from VS Code now, that you don't see the folder, you use the ls to see the content that is inside the current folder you are working on like that. And every time you've already typed a lot of things in your terminal there like that, you can use clear to clear your terminal, so that it gives you a brand new screen like that, so that you can start typing again without being bothered with a lot of things that you've typed before on the screen. And sometimes most of the command you type, you can record them back by using the arrow up on your keyboard. So when you press arrow up, as you can see, it will bring all the command you've typed before, because there's a lot of time you want to repeat that command to do some stuff. You can quickly use arrow up or arrow down to move through all the command you've typed before. So when you press arrow up, it will bring all the command that I've typed. So as you can see, these are different commands that I've typed in the past, and if I press arrow down, then it will keep going back to the latest one that I've typed. Arrow up is going back to the previous command you've typed, as you can see like this. So I'm pressing arrow down, it has come to the last one there, and if I press arrow up, this is the last command that I type. If I press arrow up again, this is the last two command that I type. If I press arrow up again, this is the last three command that I type, and so forth like that. So because there's some command you are going to type later on that is really long, and you don't want to keep typing them again, you can use arrow up or down to move through the history of the command that you've typed before like that. So another command we need to learn now is the one that we can use to create folder, or the one we can use to create file. As you can see in VS Code, you can use this icon here to create files, or you can use this icon here to create folder. The same thing here, all this thing, they are going to cause some command behind the scene. So the same thing can be done in your terminal there like that. So we have the command that you can use to create folder. So to make a folder now, we have this mkdir, which is make directory. That's the full meaning of this thing. So we use this mkdir to create a folder, and this thing is really powerful because you can use it to create one folder, or you can use it to create multiple folder at the same time, like that. I used to use it a lot anytime I want to create multiple folder at once. And how do you use it? It's just by typing this mk like that. So mkdir like this. So this is the command. Then whatever that follows it, that's now the name of the folder that you want to create like that. For example, here I want to create folder 1 like this. So what I'm doing here is that the mkdir is going to create a folder, and the name of the folder is this folder 1. And once I press enter, you see that inside our class 4 now, the folder is going to appear here once the command is done, like that, depending on the speed. As you can see right now, I already have this folder 1 like this. So you can create a folder by using mkdir, and if you want to create multiple folders, just separate them with space like that. So I'm going to create fold, I'm going to create test, I'm going to create home, and I'm going to create prod. So what I'm saying here is that I want to create these 4 folders at the same time. If you want to do in VS Code, you have to be creating them one by one. But with this terminal now, I can create these 4 folders at once. So just put all the folders you want to create, separate them by space, and once you press enter, and once the command is done, you see that it will create all these folders at once. As you can see, all of them. So we created this folder home, we created this folder fold, and we created this folder prod, and we created this folder test at once. So if you want to do it with your GUI, you have to be doing it one by one. But with terminal, as you can see, it's quite easy to do like that. If I want to clear the terminal, I can just use the clear once again, so that I have a brand new screen to work with like that. And if you want to see the history of the command you used before, you press arrow up. As you can see, it will bring all the command you typed before, and you press arrow down, it will go back to the latest one that you type like that. So when you want to create a folder, we have this mkdir. And what if you want to remove folder? Just like the way you can create folder, you can remove a folder. But we have 2 types of folder you want to remove. We have folder that doesn't have content, and we have folder that have content. So the way you remove them is different. So when you want to remove folder that doesn't have content, like you can see now, this CSS, there is nothing inside it. This fold, there is nothing inside it. So these are the folder that doesn't have content. So if you want to remove this kind of a folder, you are going to be using this rmdir, which is to remove. As you can see, it can only remove empty directory. So it can only use to remove empty folder. You can't use it to remove folder that has file. Like this now, you cannot use it to remove this project, because there's a lot of things on that project. So you cannot use it to remove it like that. So for example, here now under this test, I'm going to be creating a file there, but I'm not going to be creating file from here. I'm going to be creating it from terminal, because that's what the next one there for. But before we get there, let's remove one of the folder here, which is this fold 1. So if I want to remove that fold 1, I can use this rmdir like that. So rm just means remove directory. Mk means make directory. So which directory do you want to remove? You type the name of the folder that you want to remove. But first, when you are using this rmdir, that folder must be empty. If it's not empty, you get error, because it cannot remove folder that is not empty. It can only remove folder that is empty like that. So since this folder 1 is empty, so we are not going to have any problem with it at all. So if I press enter now, and once the stuff is done like that, you see that this folder 1 is going to disappear like that, because the stuff will be removed. As you can see, it will remove the stuff like that. So I'm pleased, whatever you are doing from this your terminal, anything you delete from here is not going to your recycle bin. Oh. It's not like your GUI that if you delete something, you right click, and you delete something, is going to your recycle bin. So always be careful with what you are doing here, because if you delete anything from here, it's gone, because this one is not going to recycle bin. You are communicating with the system directly. So whatever you remove, that's the end of that stuff. So you need to be careful, and that's the reason why this one cannot remove a folder that is not empty. That's the security they are putting there, because if you can remove folder that is empty, if you go and mistakenly remove something that have a lot of files inside it, that's the end of it. It's gone. So but we have another way of removing files or removing folder that have content, but those one, you know what you are doing. So for you to use it, you already know what you are doing, because if you remove anything, it's not going to recycle bin. So if you go to your recycle bin, there is nothing like those files like that there. So whatever you are deleting, they saying it doesn't come here like that. As you can see, the folder 1 that I delete, this is my recycle bin. As you can see, it's not there. So all this one is just something else that I delete directly from normal delete on the system. So when you use normal delete on the system, that's where all those deletes will come here. But anything you are doing from the terminal, it doesn't come to your recycle bin. Again, let me go back to the VS Code and let us remove one of the folder again, which is this prod. So to remove that folder, we just need to use rm-dar and we put the name of the folder. And now you see that this folder, which is this prod, it's going to disappear. But it's not going to, as you can see now, it's gone. So now that it's gone, so let me go back into the recycle bin. As you can see, nothing is there at all. So whatever you are deleting from the terminal, you are interacting with the operating system directly. So whatever you delete, that's the end of it. And that's the reason why that one cannot delete folder that have something inside. So if I try to use that command now for this project, it will not work because it will see that there is something inside it. So if I try to do project now, it will tell me that it can't delete that folder because something, can you see, failed to remove project. The directory is not empty because if this thing remove it, that's the end. But there's a way of removing a folder that have something inside it. But you should be careful using that command that I'm going to be showing you later, because anything you delete, that's the end of it. Don't go and delete something and you'll be thinking you go to your recycle bin to recover it, but you cannot recover it. That's the end of the stuff because you are communicating with the system directly from here. It's not like this one that if you delete something from here, it will go to your recycle bin first and you cannot restore it back. You cannot restore anything you delete from here. So always be careful when you are removing something from the terminal. Make sure that you look at this thing very well and you are trying to remove the correct stuff like that. So and how do you create a file? So to create a file from terminal, we have touch. So touch can help you to create a file. So just like this side that we can click on this to create a file, so we can create a file. So I want to create a file inside this text. I want to create index.html inside this text. So when you want to create a file inside a particular folder, you just right click on it, you create a file like that, or you click on it and you click on this. The same thing too can be done from the terminal. So if you do touch, don't forget any command you are running, it will run it on the current folder you are working on. But we want to do it inside this text. So if you want to do something that is inside a nested folder, you can firstly go to that folder first. For example, you can do cd test, or directly from here you mention the name of the folder, then slash, and you do whatever you want to do. What this thing is doing is that what I'm saying here is that I want to create this file, which is this HTML like this. So HTML. So I want to create a file, but I'm not just creating this index.html inside this class 4. I will be creating it inside a folder known as test, but test 2 is inside class 4. I don't need to be explaining all this one because we've talked about all these things. So this one said go to this folder first, then inside that folder, that's where you are going to create a file or whatever stuff you want to create. But here now, if I don't put it like this, if I just do it the name, if you put the name without the folder, if you put the name without the folder, it will create it under the current folder that you are working on. But if you know that there is a nested folder where you want to put it, you have to mention that folder first. So if I do it like this, you see that the index.html will be created under this our class 4, which is not where I want it to be. As you can see right now, it has been created like that, but that's not where I want it to be. So I'm going to create another one, which is going to be inside text. So enter the text folder first, then inside the text folder, then put this index. Let me put another name there so that we can know that it is there. So press enter like this. So this one will create index2.html, but not just inside this current folder, it will put it under the text. And as you can see now, that one is now under the text. So we tell you to enter this folder first before creating the folder, before creating the file. If it is multiple folder you need to mention there, you have to do the same thing too. So this is going to be your folder 1 / folder 2, then you now have your file. So first, from this our class 4, enter folder 1, then from folder 1, enter folder 2. Then inside folder 2, create this file. So touch, what it does is to create a file, which is the same thing as this one that you have there. So creating a file, you see the same thing as using touch from the command line like that. So touch can be used to create a file from the terminal like that. So but how do you delete files, or how do you delete folder that have content inside it? Again too, you can rename a file, you can remove a file. So that's the next thing. So let's remove file. So this one help us to remove file, or it can help you to remove a folder with content. But there are some things you need to type before it can help you to remove folder with content, because it is a serious stuff. So if you go and delete a folder that have a lot of your files, that's the end though. It's not going to recycle bin, and that's why it doesn't remove folder with content like that, because your folder can contain different things. As you can see, our project has a lot of things inside it. Now imagine we mistakenly delete this thing like that, so that will be the end of it. But with the help of our control version later on, it will actually be easier for us to revert back, assuming you are using control this Git now to track all your changes, because since the Git has already have the changes, you can quickly revert it back later on there like that. But for now, we don't have the Git yet. We don't have the Git initialize yet, because we are still talking about some of the basic command you need to know. So let me just have cleared the screen like this. So how do you remove a file? So to remove a file, you use this rm. So rm is remove, and it can remove files, and at the same time it can remove folder. So you can use it to remove file, and you can use it to remove folder. So when you want to use it to remove file like that, so you are going to use this sample there like that. So this one is going to remove file. Why this method down here by passing some flag like that. This one is what you are going to use to remove folder. So let me put it like that. So save in this way like that. So it can work for two things. It can help you to remove files, and it can help you to remove folder. So you can remove empty folder, it can remove folder with the content all together. So it can do all this thing like that. So these are different ways of using it. So we have the example for removing file. So use rm, then in front of it just type the name of the file you want to remove. For example, here I want to remove that index.html that I have inside this class 4, which is this one. So here now, once I please, anytime you use rm or anytime you delete anything, once again, that's the end of it. Once you press enter, that's the end of it. There is nothing like you want to recover anything. It's gone. So yeah, let me press enter. So you need to be careful. You need to make sure that you are removing the correct stuff, because anything you delete here, there is nothing like Ctrl Z though. That's the end. As you can see, the index.html is gone like that. So and if you try to press Ctrl Z, as you can see, VS Code will not recover it back, because the file is gone. That's the end of that file. You can never get it back again until maybe you start using all those other software to recover some stuff for you. That's a way of like extra mouse and advanced stuff. So whatever you delete from here, it's gone like that. But if you delete something from VS Code directly by using the this delete, so this one worked normally, it will put the content in this thing first in your recycle bin, and you can recover it back. But if you do it from the terminal, so it's gone like that, because you are communicating with the system directly from here, not the UI that is doing some stuff behind the scene like that. So now, how do we remove a folder that have content like this test now? So if you try to use rm there to remove the content from it like that, so if you use test, it will warn you that, or to give you error that this test have something inside it. As you can see, it will fail. So in order for you to remove a folder that have something inside it, you are going to use this command here, which is the same thing as this rm, but this rm directly too, it cannot remove folder. If you tap it like this, it will tell you that it cannot remove folder, because there is some extra thing you need to do before it will help you to remove that folder. As you can see, it said remove, cannot remove test, because it's a folder. So it doesn't remove folder too like that, because removing folder is really like dangerous task, because your folder used to contain a lot of other things inside. As you can see, project here, we have calculator. Inside calculator, there's a lot of other things there, and once you delete this project now, everything inside the tool will be gone. So it doesn't delete like that. So you have to give it the power for it to be able to delete the folder that you want, and that's where this extra option comes in here, which is what we call flag. So you can pass some flag into some of this your command, so that you give them extra power. It's just like your HTML, where you have attributes. So you have the HTML, they have what they do, but through attributes you can pass extra information to them. The same thing here too for our command here, that some of them that they can go extra mile or do something based on the attributes that you pass, or based on what we call the flag here. So on the HTML, it is known as attribute, but here we call it flag. So this rm, there's some flag you can pass to it, and each flag used to be separated with this hyphen here. So one of the flag here is F, another flag here is R, but you can actually combine multiple flags together as one. So some of them, you see that they use double hyphen. When you use double hyphen, it means you have to type the full name like that. You have to type the full name, but if it is just one hyphen, you just type the shortcut for them. So like that. So we have this F for first, and we have this R for recursive. So which means it will delete whatever that is inside that folder first before it's delete the folder. That's what this recursive. Recursive means it will keep going inside then one by one and keep deleting everything that is inside it before removing the entire folder. But instead of you separating the command like this, you can actually put them together. So instead of separating them, just put one hyphen and put all. This is one command on its own. R is one command. I is one flag. F is one flag. But they are working for this RM. For anytime you put this in is very dangerous. Whatever you put in front of it, it will never even warn you. It's not like the window where you want to delete something that you like, some places that you get yes or no, that you want to actually delete this thing. Yeah, there is nothing like yes or no here. Once you press enter, once I press enter like this, it's gone. Once it's delete the stuff like that, it's gone. So this one here, this thing is very powerful. Please don't use it on something that you don't want to lose. So you always use it in something you want to delete. And anytime you are using it, make sure you double check whatever stuff you are trying to delete. Because if you go and put something you don't want to delete and you press enter and that thing is gone, that's it. You can never get it back again. Because yeah, you are working with the system directly. So this thing is really powerful. Anytime you are removing something, always be careful that you are removing the correct stuff like that, because that's the end of it. If you are not tracking if you are not tracking that file or folder and you delete it, that's the end of it, because Git did not have the information about it. So it will not track anything for you, and that's the end. You have to start looking for it wherever you save it to like that. So this one now, it's going to delete the folder and everything that is inside it. And once I press enter now, as you can see, the text is gone. And if you go to recycle bin, there's nothing like that there. You will never see it. If you go to recycle bin, as you can see, my recycle bin is empty. So whatever you delete, they are not coming here. They are gone. And you cannot recover it back unless you start doing some advanced whatever recovery tooling, whatever, and also on toolsafe before they can recover things for you. So please always be careful with this RM when you are using it to remove a folder. Make sure that you are removing the correct stuff like that. So we have this CP and we have this MV that you can use to rename or move or copy file from one place to another. But all those ones, we don't really need them right now. The basic one that you need is what I just explained now. So the CD, you always use it a lot to move from one folder to another one in your terminal like that. So we have the LS to print whatever that is inside the current folder you're working on. MKDAO to make a folder in the current directory or whatever the address that you pass into it. Remove directory, this one help you to remove empty directory. Any directory that has something inside it, it cannot remove it. And don't forget, directory is just folder. So whether I say directory or folder, I'm saying that I'm talking about the same thing. We have touch, which is what you can use to create a file. Type it and mention the name of the file. And again too, you can use it to create multiple files at the same time. You just separate all the file with space and it's going to create them at once. So clear, you can use it to clear your terminal when you have a lot of things typed already and you don't want to be bothered with whatever you've done in the past. So you use clear to have a clear interface once again like that. So these are the basic commands that you are going to be used from your terminal to move around or to create files or to manage the content you have there. But what if you now want to start working with Git? So Git comes with its own command. So all the Git command you are going to be typing, all of them only start with this Git. And in order for you to start using this Git command, you must have it installed first, which is something you need to follow that process. So once you have the Git installed, you are going to be able to type the Git like this and some other command that is going to come after it. As you can see now, it's showing me. So once you type Git and you don't type anything you want to do, as you can see, it will come with a lot of different command you can type. So we have Git status, we have Git log, we have Git this thing like this. But the major one we need right now is this Git init. So this command under the Git is what you are going to use to create a repository in your project that you are working on. And please don't forget, any command you want to run, whatever you want it to be, you need to make sure that you are currently in that folder. And that's the reason why we talked about all these basic commands first. So since I want this thing to happen in my class 4, that's why I'm currently here. So whatever command I'm going to be running is going to be under class 4. But if I want to do it other project, it means I need to go to project 4. And by now, you know how to move from one folder to another. So if I want to go to project, I just need to firstly move into that project folder first. Then once I get there, you see that it will change the address. Once this thing is done, as you can see now, I'm currently in project. So which means whatever I will be doing here, it will happen inside project, not inside this class 4 like that. So that's why it is very important that you know about some of the basic command first. So and if I want to go back to the previous one, I just need to use cd // So this one is going to take me back to the previous one, which is class 4. So I want to put everything there. That's the reason why I'm using this folder. But if you want something to, because when you're working on your project, you might need to be creating tracking for each one of the project, not that you'll be tracking all of them at once for the same. But because we are learning, so everything are going to be tracked. But later on, when you're actually working on a project, each one of them are going to have their own copy of the Git that track each project on their own. So if you want to track each calculator, you go there and you initialize your Git, because when you want to work with Git, you need to firstly initialize it, because it doesn't just come like that. Just because it's not on your system, it will start tracking. No, that's not the way it works. We have a workflow that you need to follow when you are working with Git. So there is a workflow that you need to follow that are there. As you can see, these are series of commands that you need to type based on the workflow that you want to follow like that. So we have this something known as working directory. So when you are talking about working directory, this the folder. This is the folder of where you initialize your Git. So whatever folders where you initialize your Git, that's what we call working directory. So this working directory is a folder where you initialize your project. But right now, or where you initialize your Git there like that, which is what we call the repository, but I will talk more about it. So how do we initialize Git? Because right now, Git doesn't know about this, our class 4. So in order for us to be able to initialize our project, so we need to use Git init. So the first thing you do when you are working with Git, so working with Git like this, so working with Git. So in order for you to work with Git, the first thing you need to do is to initialize. So for every project you are going to work on, you are going to initialize Git, and it's just a one-time stuff that you are going to do. So you only initialize once, but you keep following some other thing that needs to be done. So you initialize your Git. And which command are you going to use to initialize Git? So to initialize Git there like that, you are going to use Git init. So this is the command you need to type in your terminal in order for you to initialize Git repository there like that. So what is repository? It's just a folder where Git is saving all the record of the changes that you have in your project on your system. So there's a folder that's going to be created for you there, but you don't need to bother yourself about the folder. Git will be the one that manages it, and is going to be saving all the record of whatever that is going on in the project like that. But doesn't do it automatically too. You be the one that will have to tell it what it needs to track, what it doesn't need to track, because it's not everything you want to track every time. There's some file you don't want to track at all. So you are going to talk to the Git. But in order for Git to be aware that you want to be doing some tracking in your project like that, you need to create a repository. A repository is just a folder where you have the Git files that is tracking all the changes inside that particular project there like that. And to initialize what I just mentioned, you are going to use this Git init. This command will always be run once. For every project that you are going to be having, you run it once. Once you initialize it, that's the end. The next thing you start doing is to start telling Git to save the changes that you just made in your code. And you press enter like this. So you are going to receive the message that it has already initialized empty. As you can see now, what you are going to see, can you see the message? So initialize empty Git repository. Repository is just a folder where it keeps all the changes about your project. And again too, VS Code is going to kick in. Once you initialize a project, VS Code is smart. It will see it and start changing the color of all. Can you see? It's changed the color of all what I have here. So this U in VS Code means on track. So U means on track. So which means you've initialized something inside this place. As you can see, the color has changed because it sees down that you want to keep tracking the changes in this this thing here. But the U here is telling us that those files, we are not tracking them yet. So that means the Git is not tracking them, but it knows about them. So everything here now is what we now call the working directory. As you can see, it knows about everything here. and whatever you are doing are there, but it's not tracking them yet. So there's a process you need to follow in order for it to keep tracking. As you can see, starting from your working directory, which is something I've explained before, everything you have here where you initialize your project. As you can see, there is a folder that has been created here, which is this Git. And if you want to see everything that is there, so let me clear the terminal once again like that, and let us use ls so that we see everything that is here, because by default VS Code will not show that. Anything like dots, it will not show it. But as you can see here too, it don't show it. But if I want it to show, I can actually pass some other flag to this ls. Another flag you can pass to this ls is this a, which is for list all. So all the folder you have there, whether it is hidden folder or not, is going to list all of them. So this a is a flag to just list. Can you see? So can you see all the other thing that is being hidden? So this one is, can you see what we use that time? Dot slash, which is the previous folder. So that's what we type. They are here, but they are hidden behind the same. So, but if you want to see them, you can pass this flag so that you see all the folder, the one that is hidden and the one that is not hidden. And as you can see, there's a folder that has been created for all here. And you can go to the project folder, so you can open this thing and refill in File Explorer like that. And if you have the setting, can you see it's showing? But it doesn't show like this on all the stuff. So if you want to see it, you have to go to the where is it? So you have to go to the option. So where are you? So you have to go to this option like that. So once you go to option, you go to views. Under the views, you need to have this hidden files. So you need to have this. Where is it? Shows. Yeah, shows. So where are you? It's show hidden files. Let me read it. Let me so it's supposed to be show hidden file. Yeah, so this is it here. As you can see, show hidden files, folders, and drive. So anything that is hidden is going to show it, but by default that option is not active. So you can go there, click on the three dots, go to your option. So if you want to be seeing that Git too, when you go to the folder like this, so you go to the views and you click on the option to show the hidden file and folder, and you save. Once you save, you start seeing that folder. But again, don't touch the folder. As you can see, a lot of things will be created on it. You are not the one that will be doing, that will be managing all this folder here. Git will be the one that will be managing it, but you are going to be communicating with the Git through the terminal here by a series of commands that you need to type to track all the changes by following this workflow. So this is the workflow that you are going to be having. So starting from your working directory, this is where you are going to have all the files that you want to track, or the one that has already been tracked. You are going to see all of them in your folder there, which is where you have your Git initialized. Then any changes that you want to track, any changes that you want this thing to save the changes, you need to move them to what we call the staging area. And how do you move them to staging area? This is the command you need to use. So we have this git add. So whatever file you want to stage means that it's just like you buy something from Jumia. So after you order something from Jumia, they are going to take it to where the delivery package, now the package that needs to come to you, they will take it to their warehouse. Then from warehouse, they will take it to their delivery house. Then from there, you can now go there and get it, or the bike will give it to you. So the warehouse where they are taking the stuff to, before it gets to the user, that's what we call the staging area here. So you are saying, oh, these are the packages that are ready for delivery, or these are the files that are ready to be tracked. Because it's not every time you want to track all the files. You might be working on different files, but you want to track a particular one at that moment, and the other one that you're still working on, you don't want to track it yet. So you need to move all those ones that you want to save into the staging area. So all those ones that are in staging area, those are the one that is going to record when you save them permanently, because your file is here, it's not tracked here. So you need to move it to awaiting this in there by saying, oh, this file, I want you to know that I'm going to be saving the changes here. But in order for these changes to be permanently saved, you need to commit the changes. So we call it add to move to the staging area. So for a working area, you use git add to talk to Git that these are the files that you are preparing to save locally. Like there are changes you make there, you are ready to save those changes so that you can record them that these are the changes you make to that file. And when in order for you to complete the changes, that means moving the package now to whoever needs to get this stuff, you are going to use this git commit to finally record. So you need to record that this thing cannot go outside. You tell it that this thing can go outside, but it doesn't mean it has already moved it outside. So in order for you to move it to whatever you need to save it to, you need to use this git commit here. But whatever you are going to be doing here, everything, as you can see, everything here is happening on your system. Whatever you are going to be doing here, all the records are going to be happening on your system. But when you are collaborating with people that are in different places, you need to have all these changes somewhere online where people can go there, take those changes, modify it, then update the code. And that's where the remote comes in, the remote repo. The local repo is all the changes you are making on your system, and everything is recorded on your system. But if your system crashed or something happened, that's the end of the stuff. But we should be able to save all these changes somewhere online, and that's where this repo, this remote repo comes in. So whatever changes you are doing locally, you can save it somewhere on another computer, and anybody that needs to, have access to it can just go there and they will have access to it. And that's where this remote comes in. And we have different remote repository that you can use, or this system online that you can use to do the same thing there like that. And one of them is GitHub here. So one of the popular the control version system online there is GitHub, but it's using Git too like that. So you can go to GitHub, and from there you do registration, and once you register, the same thing you do locally, you can do it online too there. So this is a repository or a hub, or where you can save and manages your project that you are using Git to track there like that. So whatever you can do locally, you can do it online too. But the advantage of this one is that it's available everywhere, and you can go there on any system. So if you are doing it from one system here, and maybe system crash, or that system is done with you, you can continue with the project on another system. You just need to go to that remote repository, download it on another system, and you continue. And all the changes you have from that other system, you are going to have it on the new system. But everything we are doing right now is locally, it's not online yet like that. So what we need to do here, we need to follow this process there first. So you need to perform the local process first by moving all the files from this working area into this staging area. Then from the staging area, you commit or you save all the changes locally. So these are the two commands you are going to be doing that for the local one. So you add all the files, whatever changes you make, you add them to the staging. Then in order for you to record the final stuff, you are going to commit them. And once you commit, then the next thing you need to do is to connect to the online if you want to do that. But for today, we're not going to be connecting to any online there. So we can do that one in the next class because time has already gone like that. And from online too, you can take to the local. I told you when you go to another system, you can bring all your changes from the remote one. So to take it online, we use push, and to bring this one, we use clone and we use pull. If you already have it already, if you already have it on that your new system, you pull. But if it's not there, this first time you are doing it, you are going to use clone. And I'm going to show you there like that what you need to do once this one is pushed like that. But for now, we are going to deal with the local one. So the first thing you need to do, you initialize, which is the first thing that we've done already. Then the next thing, as you can see, is telling us that it's not tracking. You here in VS Code means it's not tracking the stuff. And how do you know? You can use this git status. So once you type git status, it will tell you whatever files that are ready to be tracked, or the one that has been modified. And as you can see right now, can you see what is bringing out? It said no commit here, and these are the files that we are not tracking yet. So you can see that we have something inside this place, and we have this file. So inside the project, we have some file there, but we are not tracking them yet. So how do we track the stuff? You need to move all these your changes into the staging area, and to move to staging area is by using git add. Then you mention whatever you want to add. But look at it now. There's a lot of things here to be added, because you have to be mentioning the name of the files and the folder you want to add. But instead of you adding them one by one, you can actually use dots. So when you use git add dots, what this means is that inside this current folder is going to add everything that is there. So dot here means whatever that is inside this your current folder is going to add them like that. So once I press enter now, you see that it will move everything to the staging area. And once you move to the staging area, all this text now will change from U to A in VS Code. But that's how the VS Code represents it. It's just telling, can you see, everything has changed to A. What this thing is telling you that you've moved them into staging area. So these are new files that you just added. So as you can see, A just means added, but they are still in staging area. They are not, it's not tracking it yet. All these changes we have in all this file it's still not tracking them yet. You just say that all these changes you want to track them, and that's what we call this staging area. You are just telling it that okay, this file are what I want you to record all the changes that I have currently in them. So in order for you to permanently record the stuff, you now need to commit them. Commit now. Oh, you are ready to permanently save all the changes. And what are the changes? Is everything you have here. No, we've already had a lot of code here like that. So in order for us now to have it, what we need to do is to use the git like this, then commit. But this commit, there's things you need to supply, because of every commit you are doing, it's always good that you supply a message. And a message is just a meaningful text that explains what this your changes is all about. These changes you want to save now, what is it all about? So you need to supply a message. And how do you supply a message? We have the option or the flag that you need to pass, which is this M. And in front of it, you put the quotes. It can be single quote or double quote, depending on what you want to use. But if you start with double single, you have to close it with single. And in between it, you put whatever message you want to put there like that. And if it is double too, you can use the double quote like that. So you open with double and you close with double. And in between it, you put whatever message this. So here now, since this is our first time, so first commit. So I will just say first commit using git like that. So whatever message you put here, these messages are very important later on, because through this message, when you are using the log or when you go to online later on, you are going to see all this message there. And this message you can quickly know which one you need to open and which one you don't need to open, and so forth like that. And this is required. You must always put message there. So this is how to do the stuff. So let me put the command here too like that. So let me put it here because I want to save, or before I put it here, because now I've already what I just need to do before I type this one, yeah, let me just type it. I will put all the command later on so that I can use it to talk about when you make changes there like that. So yeah, now once I press enter, you see that all this A now, it will disappear and it will record all the changes locally. Can you see? So it has recorded all our files that we have in this project. So now can you see all of them? So these are the files we have, and everywhere it is. So can you see? It's telling you that 25 file change. So it's like that recorded 25 files, and inside that 25 files, these are the things that were inserted. So all the things you are typing here, it has recorded all of them. So we have 1,215 insertions. So that means in this thing here, we did not delete anything because this is our first time we are doing it. So we are just inserting. Later on now, when we started making changes, it will tell you where you delete and when you remove, and all those changes are there like that. It will be easier to see once you connect to the online repo. You can see it here too, but it's not that feasible compared to using the online repo. So now all this file we have now, or everything we have here, it has already tracked the changes we have now. So like all this thing here, it has been recorded. So now if you make changes to anything here, it will tell you that you've modified the file, and it's not less for you to update the changes that you modified there. For example, if I put M here and if I save, watch closely on this file, you see that there's an icon that will come, or the text that will come here, which is M. Anytime you see M in VS Code, it means you've modified. Yes, you can see it has changed. So this thing is telling you that the record that you have, the record that you save in this file, or the file that you saved before, something has changed here. So whether you remove something or you add something, it will tell you there. You can see all these changes in VS Code directly by going to this source control here too. So you can see all your changes. You can see it's telling you that you make changes in this file, and if you click on it, it will tell you where you add something or where you remove something. Can you see? So this line is what you have there before, but now that line will be replaced with this one. So when we commit this thing, it will tell you that one line removed and one line added. As you can see, this is what you have there before. This is what the changes this is what you save, but this is the new things you have now. And when you're working with different people, you see what they worked on, where they change or where they add something, or where they remove, who removed the stuff. It's going to tell you the name of the person like that, because I have Git on VS Code. So Git is already in VS Code. You can use it anywhere you make changes. Just go there. It will tell you that changes were made on this so line by this so person, and so forth like that when you log in through the GitHub there. But right now it's not connected to the online repo. That's why it's not showing it here. But once you connect to the online repo, you started seeing that it will bring out my name here and tell me the time this line was changed, or this time this line was added, and so forth like that. And if I don't need any of these changes, I can remove them. I can discard any changes. So right now, the file we have, so in your control now, this changes we made now, we can remove them, or you can know the same thing like this. This is GUI now. I'm using GUI to see what has changed, like that. You can do the same thing too by using your terminal, by using status. So once you want to see what is going on, you use git status. Status will give you whatever status of your file, and as you can see right now, can you see it tells us that we've modified this index.html. And if you want to know what has changed, you can use this git diff and you mention the name of the file. It will show you the difference of whatever that is there before, which is what this GitHub is doing here. So this thing now, if I click on this file, what you are seeing here is the difference. So it will show you the difference of what you have there before and the new changes. So this is what we call the diff. So it will show you the difference of what you have there before and the new changes you are bringing in, like that. So you can use git diff to see the difference, and you mention the name of the file if you know the file name, or which is, can you see the address. So just copy the address here, then put it in front of it, and it's going to show you. Can you see? But no, it's not. Can you see that it's not easier? It's not easy there on the terminal. So as you can see, the same thing VS Code is showing you using the GUI. The same thing can happen. Can you see? It's telling us that this is the line. Can you see that there's the same thing? But the way it's showing in the GUI is different from the way it's showing it, but it's still there. So it's telling us now that this file has changed. So this line has been removed, and this is a new file that is going to get replaced. So once you save now, this line will be gone, and this is your new change for that line. So, but you can use the VS Code GUI to quickly see it, or you can use the terminal like this. So, but if you don't have the VS Code, you only have your bash, or directly you can use it, because in bash here, there's no way you have access to all this thing. It's when you are in VS Code that you can see all this thing. But it's not possible that you always have access to VS Code, but you always have access to the terminal. So when in terminal directly, you should be able to do the same thing. Not because you know, oh, I don't have VS Code, I will not be able. No, from your terminal you can see all your changes. So the same thing here too. I can just come to the terminal directly here and type the git status. But no, as you can see, it's not inside that correct folder. So you need to make sure that you are in the correct folder. So if I type git status here, it will tell me that there is no git here, as you can see, because this is not a repository. So before you can start using git command, you must already initialize the git. So in order for us to do it now, I need to go to that folder. And how do I go to the folder? We've talked about it. So we need to use cd, then from there like that. So go to training like that. So training, what's wrong with this keyboard? So go to training like that, slash students, then slash mailverse like this, then slash class underscore 4. And once you get to that folder, you see that I can now start using all the command for that particular folder. So you can do it directly from here like that. So let me clear my terminal once again so that I have enough screen to work with. As you can see now, all those commands have been talked about. So it's something you always use a lot like that. So now I can now use git status. So since I'm in correct folder, which is this class 4, and we already initialize our repo, can you see we are seeing the same thing too. And if I want to see the difference there like that, I just need to use git diff like this. It will show you the changes that you've already made. As you can see, the same thing is showing here, but the same thing can be done in VS Code because it's it is integrated with VS Code. You don't need to install anything. It's part of the VS Code out of the box like that. You just need to install Git and initialize your Git, and VS Code will kick in and you can start seeing it there. And again, as you can see, anyone that show M, you're going to see that those file has been modified. So what if you now want to save this new change now? So I don't even want to use this M. Let me put something meaningful. So this is going to be game. Let me just say V2 like this for version 2. So save. So how do we track these new changes? Because the thing tell you that you've modified, but it's not tracking it yet. So in order for you to track these changes, you are going to follow the same workflow, and that's why it is workflow. So anytime you make changes, so the first thing you need to add is to do add, then which is to move it to staging area. Then once you add, then you commit it, which by putting a message. So the first thing we need to do now, but before I do that, let me make some changes here too, like that. So the next thing we need to do when you're working with this thing is to stage. So stage files like that. And how do you stage your files? So to stage your file, you are going to use git add, then followed by dot, so that I can add all of them at once for you like that. Then after you do that, what else do we need to do? We need to commit the changes. So this is what we need to do next. And how do you do that? So to commit the changes, you are going to use git, then commit like this, then pass this M, then in front of the M, you are going to put your message here like that. So this is the process you always follow every time. That's why it is workflow. So anytime you make changes in your code and you want to track it, the next thing you do is git add. Once you add it, then you commit the changes. But this one is only going to happen once, which is when you are starting your repository. That's what you call the git init. Like that. If you call it again, it will tell you that you already have it there. So there's nothing to do. So anytime you make changes, you add all the changes you made, because it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3. Just use git add, and it's going to add all of them to the staging area. Then once you get to the staging area, the next thing is for you to commit the changes. Commit means it's going to save the changes you made locally there. It's still not online. So we need to do git add so that it add everything like that. And once it's added, the next command we need to call is git commit like this. Then we pass the m, and we pass the message, which is going to be, I'm going to call it this second commit like this. You can type anything as message like that, but you have to put something there. But this thing is wrong. This is not what I want to type, because now it has put nonsense here. My hand is too fast. So now I'm press enter. So all these new changes that we make to this file, so we make changes inside terminal. You can see that it's m there, and we make changes inside this place. So as can you see what it did? It said 2 file change. What are the 2 files? This terminal and this index.html. But look at it. It said we inserted 19 in the code, because all this thing that I just added, all the new thing is counting on the line. Again, too, here we made only 1 changes, and it said we have 1 delete. 1 delete is coming from this line, because I delete the entire stuff. I delete this entire stuff and replace it with this new one. But here, as you can see, I did not delete anything here. I add the new things, like all this line. It's whatever line you make changes to, it will track all of them like that, and you have them like locally. So all the changes we have now, it is local. But later on, which is next class, we are going to be talking about how we can now take it to online repository there like that. So I need to this is going to be all for today. So the next class, we're going to be talking about the online repository. Then after that, all your code that you have there, you are going to put it in your GitHub profile, and from there I can always go there to check, and I can have the copy here too. And anytime I make changes to this, it will appear at your side too, because you can clone all this thing here at your end. So anytime there's a change in the code, I don't need to start sending copy to you. Once I push it there, you go there and you pull the changes into your own system, and whatever I've made changes here, you see it at your side. You can make changes and you can pull it back to me, but I have to give you the access to be able to pull, because you can't just send anything anyhow like that, because you're not the one that created the stuff. But if it's the one you created yourself, you can always do anything like that. But if something that you are working from somebody else's account there like that, you have to be able to. So we're going to see how all those other workflow for the online one. But the one we just talked about now is the local workflow, but you need to be able to connect to the online, which is this remote here like that. So you need to be able to push, and you need to be able to pull, or you need to be able to check out. This checkout is when you are moving from one branch to another. What is branch? We're going to talk about that one too, because when you are making changes, you might need to check out by going to your own branch. So when you are done with that one, you now come back to the main branch, because if you look at it right now, you see that this thing is showing main here. This is the branch. So the branch I'm currently working on is the main branch, but you can move to another branch based on whatever thing you are working on. And when you are done, you bring your changes into this main branch. At your side, it will not be main. It will be, anytime you create anything there, it will be showing this in there, master. So, but you can rename it to main. You see all the command you need to type once you are dealing with the remote one. That is, it's going to tell you all the command you need to type, so that you can rename the master to main like that, and you can move to any other branches you want like that. So that's going to be all for today. Thank you.